Okay, so let's try solving them. Is it visible for all of you?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so let's try and solve them. When you get to a point you cannot see and you want me to scroll, then you tell me so that I'll scroll to the next. I think this question covers what we have already done. So let's try solving them and then we'll continue for today. This is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm giving you some time. If you want me to scroll, then you tell me so I scroll down.
Okay.
Okay. Those that just joined, there's a question on the screen that we are all solving individually. So I'm giving you some time to do that. And then we discuss it. If there's a part you are not seeing and you want me to scroll, then you tell me.
Okay, sir.
Hello.
Sir.
Hello. Please, are we on it?
Yes, please, please.
I can't hear you.
We are on it, sir.
Okay.
Please, the number two. You scroll
Okay.
that up a bit.
Okay, I'm coming. Is it okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. And please let's be wrapping now. Let's hurry up. That is question two. I think we have question three, four, and five. Let's hurry up a bit. Let's move to the next question. Let's go to the next question. Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay,
Yes,
should I
please.
go to the should I scroll or this one is okay?
I think you can scroll.
Let's move to the next question. Mm, 220.
Okay. Okay, so this I think we are Hello. Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Please. Okay, so are you done? Are you done? Hello, are you done?
Man,
I can't hear you.
We are not
I
done
said
yet to say, but we can.
we are not done yet, but we can continue. So
So I wanted us to discuss this.
that
So let's
Yes, sir,
we
yes,
will
sir.
do
Let's
the
discuss.
okay, so let's start from the question number one. So question number one says during a practical laboratory session, a test tube in which a student was heating a flammable substance with an open flame got exploded. Some of the contents of the test tube splashed on the skin of a student working nearby. A second student also suffered a major cut in the eye from the broken piece of the test tube. A. State specific action you would take to address the following. So one, the student with chemical splash on the skin. Yes, what do we do when we get into situations like that?
So that one we wash it with water.
How do you wash it with water?
We wash the running. We wash it under running water with a clean running water for several minutes.
Okay, any other?
I said, moreover, if the clothes that the person is wearing, or maybe the lab coat that the person is wearing, is contaminated, we can remove that particular contaminated clothes or the cloth which is affected by the same that corrosive substance.
Okay, so in situations like this, you quickly send the person to the um, emergency shower, and then you wash the affected part under running water for at least 20 minutes, and then you take the person to the hospital. Okay, the next part says the next one is a second student also a student with a cut on the eye. What do we do about that? Yes, four.
Okay, sir. With that one, I think one thing happened in our school, and the guy, one of the students, the eye got injured and blood was coming out. So what we did was, in the initial stage, we wash it with running water, clean water. Then after
Okay,
that, immediately we took when the blood got stopped coming, then we send the student to the hospital immediately.
okay. Any other suggestion?
Sir, that is the best option. You take the child to the nearest hospital or health facility.
Okay, sure.
After,
So yes, I'm listening. You can talk.
I was trying to add up to what my brother said, that
Okay,
after the first aid, you rush the child to the nearest hospital or health facility.
Yes, sure. So you gently wash the face or the eye, you gently wash it with water. Okay. But in a situation whereby the bleeding is severe or the glass is embedded on the eye, you do not even wash. You quickly rush the student straight to the hospital um for treatment. Okay. So if the bleeding is too much and the glass is embedded on the eye, you quickly rush the student to the nearest hospital. Okay, so B, what are some precautions the student who was performing the experiment should have taken to prevent the accident?
Oh,
So with the one that had the cut in the eye, on the eye,
Yes.
he should have been wearing his PPE, that is the goggle.
Okay.
I believe that if the student was wearing the goggle, maybe he wouldn't have suffered that injury on the eye.
Okay. And then another one, the next one.
so for the next one, I would say wearing of lab coats, because at least if all students are wearing the lab coats, it will, in one way or the other, prevent the acid or the splash chemical from being on the skin or attacking the skin.
Okay, so we also say the student that was performing the experiment should have never heated a flammable substance with an open flame. We should have used a water bath or a heating mantle. That one would have been better instead of using an open flame. So we should not use an open flame to heat a flammable substance. Okay. And then also we have to make sure we are in our PPE anytime we are working at the lab. And there should have been a proper orientation of the test tube. Then the mouth of the test tube should not be facing where there is someone is. So that in case of an explosion, it will not cause harm like this one did. Okay. The next question.
So please, you said the mouth of the test you shouldn't do it.
Should not face where the students are. You see, we have when you are performing experiment, we have places that you heat your stuff. So when you are heating, you make sure the mouth of the test tube is not facing where students are. There should be a proper orientation of the test tube so that when it explodes, it will be in a different direction instead of facing where the students are. This is okay.
It's okay.
Okay, so the third one, the third question is suppose the spilled substance is a thiol or sulfide. Describe a procedure you would use to dispose the chemical waste. Yes. How do we dispose a thiol? Hello.
Hi.
Yes, how do we dispose a thiol or a sulfide?
So for the thiol, I don't know anything about it, but with the sulfur, I think in the secondary school, I heard something of when you want to dispose of sulfur, you should mix it with hydrogen peroxide, H2O2. Then it will lessen how harmful it is.
Okay.
I think that's
Any
what I can remember.
okay, any other?
Okay, hello.
Yes, hello.
Okay, I want to say something about that one.
Okay,
So the thiols and sulfite, they are very strong.
okay,
Let me say they are very strong and they have an unpleasant odor. So
okay,
before that we dispose them, they should be neutralized or oxidized before they will be disposed.
okay,
And then by doing so, we can use a bleach.
okay.
That's what I know about it.
Okay, so that's okay. So you see, because the thiol and the sulfide, they are very, very odorous or they are toxic. Okay, they have a very bad smell. So in disposing them, we add a bleach, okay, so that we can reduce or we can oxidize it before we dispose it. And some of the bleach we can add sodium hypochlorite. If you add sodium hypochlorite to it, you make it dissolve a bit, and then you can dispose it. Okay,
Okay, okay,
so
okay.
that is how we go about that one. And then question number two. I think we did this last week. So a state a storekeeper received a chemical consignment from a supplier, and one of the chemicals had a label and material safety data sheet containing the following information. So we are to use the information provided to answer the following question. What is the chemical symbol for the compound? Okay, this one is already answered. Okay.
Yes, the symbol is
Okay, yes. It's even still green. Okay, question B. Explain the meaning of the following term. So NFPA code 302W. What does it mean? Yes, what does that mean? Hello.
hi.
Yes, what does that mean? Isaac, would you help us?
Sir, please, is it the one that we use the blue and the red and whatever it is?
Yes. So when I say NFPA code, it's straightforward.
Nobody.
Yes, so Isaac, please, are you talking? Hello.
Aye.
Sir, please, me, I can, for the three, I don't know. But the zero, it means not flammable.
So any other person? We did this last week. So the first one means the health hazard, and the second number is the fire hazard. The third one is the reactivity, and then the W is special hazard. So how do we explain this? We have 302W. It means what can you say about the chemical using this National Fire Protection Association code?
Okay, sir.
Yes.
The NFPA code, that is 302W.
Okay.
The first one is hazard. That means it's very serious.
Okay. So which particular hazard is the first one?
I think the tray or which one?
They are all hazards. 3 is
Okay.
a hazard, 0 is a hazard, 2. But what particular hazard does the 3 stand for?
The
And,
health
and
hazard.
to what extent?
Okay, the health hazard is that means the situation is very serious.
Yeah, serious or severe.
Yes.
Sir,
I think
Yes,
can I come in?
it means
yes,
it's a
please you can.
permanent
The
hazard.
NFPA code, the 3 stands for moderate health hazard.
The 3.
I say the 3,
Okay,
moderate health hazard.
okay,
And the 0
okay,
is blue or no fire hazard.
okay,
Then the 2, which is yellow, moderate
okay,
reactivity hazard.
okay,
Then the W, react with water, especially water reactive hazard. So we can put a special water reactive hazard. If
okay,
I'm
sure.
correct.
Okay, so Mary was saying something. So let's listen to Mary, please. Mary,
Hello, sir. I said the 3. The
okay,
3 means that's a hazard, but this particular hazard is a permanent one. That's a serious one, which can lead to a permanent hazard in a short time.
okay, okay. So this is it. The 3 stands for the health hazard, okay? And then the health hazard, looking at this particular chemical, it means it has a severe health hazard. When it comes into contact with you, it will give a severe health hazard. And then the 0, which is the fire hazard, it means that the substance on its own will not burn. And then 2, it means the reactivity is moderately reactive. It can react, but then it is moderate. Okay. And then the W over there means the substance can react with water. When it comes into contact with water, it will cause some kind of reaction. Okay. Now, the storage code B, what does it mean? The storage code B.
Store in a non-flammable liquid cabinet.
A non-flammable liquid cabinet.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other?
Okay, sir.
Yes.
The storage code. Store in a cool, dry, well-ventilated area.
Okay. Okay, so
Sir,
storage code.
it should be kept.
Okay, yeah, Paul, I'm listening.
It should be stored away from incompatible substances.
Okay, so all that you have said is correct. But when we look at storage code B, they are mainly for corrosive substances. So storage code B means corrosive, and then it should be stored in a well-ventilated area, as you said. But storage code B are mostly for acids. Okay, so when we see storage code B, it means that the substance is corrosive, and then they are usually acids. So they should be stored in a well-ventilated place. Okay, so LD50. What did we say LD is last week? Last week we talked about LD. We gave a full meaning.
So lethal dose.
Lethal dose. So the LD50 means what?
So lethal dose of 50%.
And please, sir.
So that chemical contain a lethal dose of 50% when administered.
Okay, sure. Okay, that is it. And then we look at the MSDS.
Material safety data sheet.
Material safety data sheet. Okay. Today we will talk about material safety data sheet very well. And then let's leave the analytical grade and then so let's move to question number 3. What is mutagenicity?
Sir, Abego, let me ask this. Please, have you released the slides for this?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'm pleading. Can we get it today, if
Yes,
God willing?
yes. Well, after the class, I'll send it to anyone out there. I'll send it to your first rep. I think Emmanuel. I'll send it to you and then.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes. So let's continue. What is mutagenicity?
So for this one, I don't know, but I went and searched, and they said it is a chemical that can cause change to the cell of an organism.
Okay. So,
That
It can cause what
permanent
this.
change.
and Paul, you were saying something.
Elias was saying it can cause, I don't know what it
Yes,
can
Elias.
cause. I wanted to verify.
He said, I went and searched online. He said it is a chemical. I want to talk of that mutagenicity also. He said it is a chemical that can cause a permanent change to the cell of an organism.
Yes, so mutagenicity is the ability of a substance to cause genetic mutation. When we say genetic mutation, it is the change in the genetic properties of a body, a cell. The substance that can cause a change in the gene of a cell is a substance that we call mutagenicity. That's the ability of the substance. Okay. So the next one we have tetratogenicity. Yes,
And it
hello.
also, hello, sir.
Yes,
And it also says that chemical or substance does not cause any permanent change or change to the cell or the of cell of an organism.
okay. Now let's look at antagonistic effects. What is antagonistic effect?
When one substance, antagonistic effect, when one substance reduces or blocks the effect of another substance.
Okay, so I think
That-
this one.
Is it?
Yes, Edward, you are talking.
I was trying to say that antagonistic effect occurs when one substance is able to reduce or block the effect of another substance.
Okay, sure. So we spoke about that our first meeting. So we will end the discussion here, and then you you guys should solve the remaining questions, and then you send them to me. Okay. So you solve the remaining, you add it to what we've done already, and then you send it to me.
As a project, homework, or assignment?
Yes, as an assignment.
I see. Okay.
Yes, so let me get the slides and then we begin today's lesson.
Please through your email or you should just send it through WhatsApp.
Sir, please, the left questions.
Yes.
So then do the questions, arrange them nicely and repost them so that.
So I will send them to the course rep.
The questions,
Okay.
right?
Yes, I'll forward them to you.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
I said, don't forget today you have to release the slides for us. We beg.
Okay, don't worry. I'll send them to you.
Thank you, sir.
You see me the electoral pictures maybe. Questions. That's what this Go ahead, is here.
Please hold on for me, okay? I'm trying to share the screen.
Please, are we on break?
He said he's trying to share the screen with that.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
I'm trying to share the screen, but it's not working. So I'm please, can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
please. We can see.
okay. So today we are going to talk about globally harmonized systems. That's what we call the GHS. So when we talk about the globally harmonized system, it is a UN-based initiative which was developed as a framework for standardizing chemical hazard classification and communication globally. It ensures consistent hazard definition, label and safety data sheets to protect workers and consumers by providing clear, understandable information on chemical risk, replacing fragmented national systems. Okay, so it's basically a UN system that is meant to provide a standard for chemical classification and communication. So we say the GHS provides the underlying infrastructure for establishment of national comprehensive chemical safety program. So they provide us with details as to how we should conduct safety programs, teaching people how to become lab experts. They have standards for doing that. And then they have a harmonized criteria for classification. That is, we have physical, health, and environmental. And then it applies criteria to classify chemicals based on intrinsic hazards. It also covers both single and solutions, both single substances, solutions, and then mixtures as well. Now, GHS has a way that it communicates hazard, or it gives information of hazardous chemicals on labels and safety data sheets. So it has classes for hazard, it gives hazard classes. Now, when we talk about hazard class, they are systems for grouping substances with similar dangerous properties so that it can be standard for everyone in anywhere around the world. So it gives a global standard for all chemicals. And then they also have symbols, they have signal words, and hazard precautionary phrases. And then the GHS also standardized safety data sheet format. It has a standardized safety data sheet format. You see, that safety data sheet, most countries have different ones, and then some suppliers also have different ones. But the GHS provides a global standard for developing a safety data sheet. Now let's look at who is affected by GHS. Now, GHS affects manufacturers, distributors, and importers. So this is how it affects them. You see, the GHS has a standard. So the previous safety data sheet information, there has been changes in it, so it has affected manufacturers. So when they manufacture their chemicals, they have to look at the new format for making safety data sheet for that particular chemical. They have criteria that the safety data sheet must meet. Okay. And then it also changes the container labeling. GHS has a format for labeling that is global and standardized. So the manufacturer must know the update on the new format of the safety data sheet, and then it must also know how the labeling is done now. And then for employees too, the employers too, GHS has a system for employers to train their employees. So employers have to train their employees as to changes on the safety data sheet and then the container labels. Since the employers are those going to be working with the chemicals, the employers have to teach them or take them through trainings on the new format of safety data sheet and then the container label. Also, employees should also recognize and understand hazards based on the information in the new safety data sheet format. So the employees must also understand the hazard based on how the GHS has provided the safety data sheet format. You know, when you take the safety data sheet, when you buy a chemical, it comes with the safety data sheet, and the safety data sheet has the chemical, its properties, how it should be handled, how it should be used, and everything on it. So since there has been a change in it, the employer is supposed to train the employee, and the employee is also supposed to recognize and understand the hazard based on the new information of the SDS format. And then they should know the pictogram on the container labels and also precautionary and hazard statements. So let's look at how GHS was developed. The GHS is based on considered best practices of chemical hazard communication. So based on certain practices that is considered the best when it comes to hazard communication, they put them together and then they form the globally harmonized system. One, we say UN recommendations on transportation of dangerous goods. So the UN made a recommendation on how dangerous goods should be transported. And then the European Union also gave directives on substances and how they are prepared. So these are some of the reasons or some of the how the GHS came to existence. And also, who is responsible for implementing and updating the GHS? The GHS is a non-mandatory international legal institution. When we say it's non-mandatory, it means it's not compulsory. It is not, even though it is legal, it is an international instrument, but then it is not mandatory. If we decide to join and then use it, fine. So there are about 67 countries that have adopted the GHS. Country decides to adopt the GHS, the country has to come up with an organization that is going to look at how the GHS is being implemented. So Ghana, for instance, we have the Environmental Protection Agency. They are responsible for implementing the GHS. And then the GHS is maintained internationally by a UN subcommittee. So the United Nations has a subcommittee that maintains the globally harmonized system internationally. So there are more than 30 countries who are part of this committee. And even though there are 30 countries in the committee, there are observer countries or stakeholders that also take part in decision making and maintenance of the GHS, even though they are not on the committee. Is there any question to this stage? Any question? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay, so let's continue. Now, since 1992, the United Nations have been working to enhance a globally harmonized system for classification and labeling. So the GHS didn't start from here. It has been since 1992 that the United Nations started developing strategies to come up with standardized ways of classifying and then also labeling chemicals. Okay. And then the goal was to provide a common approach for classifying chemicals. That was the goal of the DHS, was to develop a common approach for classifying chemicals. Now, why DHS? So this will benefit the employee as it will. The DHS is going to benefit employees because it will reduce confusion and increase understanding of the hazard. Because before the DHS, many symbols were one particular symbol were used for different reasons. And then when you go to different countries, you think this symbol means a particular thing in your country, but then when you go to a different country, it will mean a different warning sign or something. But if you don't take care, you will get yourself into accident. So this will reduce confusion and then increase understanding of hazard. It also facilitates training. This DHS will also help in training new employees and then lab users. The DHS will provide standards for training them. It also helps address literacy problem, particularly due to use of pictogram. So you see that pictogram has image and it doesn't have a word. So even if you cannot read and you see the pictogram, you can be able to deduce something from the pictogram. You can look at it and see, oh, this is what this particular symbol means. Now, we also say many different systems existed worldwide with different requirements. So before the DHS, there were different systems and they had different requirements. And then there were differences in hazards that were covered or classified. And then information required on labels and SDS safety data sheet was different. So you see this particular safety data sheet, it has a different, when you take through safety data sheet, you see that they have varying information. Okay. And then there were disparities in the information that were provided. So the DHS came in to provide a standard that is globally accepted. So when you see this particular safety data sheet, it is going to be the same when you go to a different country, and it's going to mean the same thing. Now, you say, what do all these symbols mean? These are some of the symbols that we are going to talk about. So mostly these are the pictograms. They have red borders with a white background. So we developed the DHS because hazards are intrinsic properties of chemicals. So even though the chemicals, even if we don't, even if we have the chemicals there, they have their intrinsic properties, and these properties make them hazardous. Okay, so hazard is associated with chemicals, even if we haven't done anything to it. So there is a need for us to design a system that we can use to protect ourselves from these chemical hazards. And then there is conflicting and inconsistent classification and safety information. So chemicals are often classified differently, even in the same country. So imagine there are different manufacturers in one particular country, and they are both using different safety data sheets or different labeling procedures. There is going to be inconsistencies. So the DHS steps in just to make sure there's a standard for all classification and communication, so that the two manufacturers can all convey the same information and make the same thing. Now, some countries have little or no requirements in force. Often there are low literacy. These countries, most of them, they don't know a lot. They cannot read and stuff. But due to the pictograms on the GHS symbols, even if you cannot understand, you can read and you not understand well. When you see the pictogram, it will easily convey some. It will give you some kind of idea that this is what you are trying to mean. And then also there was a desire to improve safety outcomes in these countries. So since these the countries were low in literacy, the hazard rates were very high. So we wanted to improve upon the safety of these countries. So we brought in the GHS. Okay. So this is where we say the labeling inconsistency. Let's look at the two labels over here. What can we say about these two labels? Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Yes. So what can we say about these two labels?
European and US label.
Is that?
So we have one which is labeled US and that of the European label.
Yes. So we can clearly say one is for US and one is for European. So let's look at the symbols. Let's not talk about the names, the symbols. What can we see from that?
Sir,
Yes, what's up?
please, with the US label, the
Okay.
same symbol is talking about a different hazard when it goes to the European label.
Okay. Yes. So you see there are inconsistencies over here. The same symbol over here is talking about different things at the other side. So when you don't know, when you move to this country with the idea you have in your country, what do you think is going to happen?
Accident.
Yes. So that is why the GHS provides a standard or a means that will put us all on a uniform platform. Okay, so this is why we say the labeling inconsistency. Now, let's look at the elements on the globally harmonized system. So we have the hazard classification criteria. So over there, you will see the health and environmental hazard. You see the physical hazard, and then you see the mixtures as well. And then we have the hazard communication. So the chemicals, the hazard that the chemical brings, it is communicated through the labels and then the safety data sheet. So when you look at the safety data sheet or the label, it will tell you the particular hazard that chemical is associated with. So here is the chemical precaution code. So this is how they are labeled. When you see A, it means it's an acid. B means a base. C means corrosive. And there's another, it's either C is either corrosive or you see dizziness or drownness. Okay. No, this is D rather. So the second C is supposed to be a D, dizziness or drownness. And then E is explosive, F is flammable.
So, sir, why the business? Why didn't they represent it with D, rather?
Yes, it's supposed to be a D. I think the mistake is coming from my end. It's a
Okay.
D. Yes.
Okay.
So I'll correct it before I send it to you. Yes, so they are listed in that order. Okay. But it doesn't automatically mean that because it is when it is A, it means like acid. So when you see Z, it means that particular thing to start from Z. No. So look at where we have Z and where we have Y. You see the difference over there?
As I can see the difference there.
Yes, and where we have L and M.
Yes, please.
Okay. So get yourself familiar with this one. And then we have some symbols and their meaning. When you see a red circle and a bar, a black bar, or it can sometimes be red, it means do not. So the first one, sometimes you see the first one and they have maybe fork and knife inside that circle. Then what does that mean?
Do not use or do not come along with fork and knife.
Okay, it can also mean do not eat. Sometimes you
Okay.
see fork and knife and a plate. It means do not eat. Sometimes you just see a cup, meaning do not drink. And then you see a blue background with a white symbol. It means must do. Okay. And you see a red symbol, a red circle. And that one means it's a restricted area, or what is in the circle is what restricted. When you see a yellow triangle with a black symbol in it, sometimes an exclamation sign, it means it's a warning. You see a red oval, or sometimes you see a rectangle, it means danger. When you see a green background with a plus, a, a white plus in it, that one means emergency or first aid. Sometimes it can stand for first aid as well, but mostly it means emergency. Okay. And you see a red background having a white flame in it. That stands for fire. So over here, you see we have the symbol that has a cigarette inside, and they are saying do no smoking. Okay. So these are some of the symbols and their meaning. And then some are over here. Let's look at this. The first one. And can you see where the arrow is pointing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, what does that mean?
To me, I guess
Emergency
it's
exit.
emergency assembly point or what.
It's not the green one. No. The ones in black. The third one at the top.
I mean, you should use
I
that.
think it's emergency exit.
So the first two can be emergency exit. The third one, that yes,
It means it's a place of escape where you can escape when there is danger.
so that one shows that the exit route is to your, the arrow is pointing to your what?
To the right.
So it means the exit route is to your right. So you can you see the middle one. We have both left and right. So where the arrow is pointing to, it's telling you where the exit route is. It's the same as the one beside the exit. So you see we have one, this particular one, the door is open. That one is very, very clear that this is the exit route. But the one that has the arrow is showing where exactly the route is. And then the exit is self-explanatory. That one is written in its exit. Are we getting it?
Yes, sir.
The difference between the exit route to your right, the exit route to your left, there are differences between them. Are we getting it?
Sure, sir. Let's carry.
Again.
You said,
Please come again.
so I'm saying that there's a difference between exit. There's a difference between exit route. And there is a difference between exit route to your right or exit route to your left. So you see the one with the door is showing an exit. It's showing an exit route. But the image that has exit is telling you to exit. And the one that has the arrows are showing you where exactly you are to exit through. So it's telling you the exit route. Okay, so the green one is self-explanatory. Say emergency assembly point. So it's in case there's a fire outbreak or something where you have to convert, that is where you see this particular label or this particular symbol. And here we have a fork and a knife and a cup, which has been cancelled. It means no eating or drinking. Do not eat or drink. Okay. And over here we have the safety symbols. So you see this black with the first triangle that has the wave, electric wave inside. It is telling us that this is an electrical hazard. So it means that it is a warning that there is a high voltage electricity present. So where do we mostly see this kind of symbol? You said? Okay, so these labels are mostly around the transformers. Yes, so you
and
see
the high tension.
Yes,
Where
and the high tension. You see these labels, these symbols, and it means there's a high voltage of electricity present. The second one says explosive. When you see something like this, it means there's a substance that may explode if exposed to heat. So when you see a symbol like this and you get closer with it means you are likely to cause an explosion. And the next one is compressed gas. Sometimes you will not see it like this. It will be a red border with a black gas like this inside. As we go on, I'll show you some. So as we go on, I'll show you some. And then we have oxidizing chemical. So oxidizing is different from flammable. Okay, so when you see something like this, it means these substances that spontaneously evolve oxygen at room temperature. Also, we have the environmental hazard. This symbol mostly shows environmental hazard, substances that can cause harm to the environment. Substances, some substances like DDC would have something like this. It sometimes also means the aquatic hazard. Okay. And then we have the corrosive. The corrosive means a substance that can destroy the skin or burn a living tissue. And we have poisonous or toxic, a substance that can lead to death if inhaled or ingested. So, and the next one, we have the flammable, a substance that can burn on its own if exposed to an open fire. And irritant, a substance that can cause inflammation upon contact with the skin. And we have biohazard, a substance that is biologically in nature, capable of self-replication. Okay. Now we have hazard communication. I'm going to talk about hazard communication. And earlier I said the DHS communicates hazard through what? Through what medium did I say the DHS communicates hazard? Hello? Hello? Through which medium did I say the DHS communicates hazard?
Through symbols and labels.
Okay, so we said through labels and also the safety data sheet. So let's look at the labels. We say a label is a written, printed, or graphical information that is affixed to or printed on or attached to a container of a hazardous chemical. So when you buy a chemical, a hazardous chemical, there's a written or a printed or even a graphical information that is fixed on the container. That is what we call the label. So on the label, you will see something like the product identifier. And the product identifier is mostly the name or the number unique to the chemical listed on the manufacturer label. So the label comes with the name or a unique number. And that number is only listed to that particular chemical. Okay. So some of the things we find on the label is the product identifier. And I said the product identifier is the name, it's a name or a unique number. Okay. And then we can also see the signal word. Signal word that indicates the relative severity of the hazard. So the signal word will tell you how severe or mild the hazard is. And then we also have the hazard statement, a phrase that describes the nature of the hazard a chemical possesses. So the hazard statement will tell you the particular or how the nature of the hazard. Okay. And we have a precautionary statement, a phrase that describes measures that will be taken to minimize adverse effects when being exposed to that particular chemical. It also tells you how to how the hazardous chemical can be how the hazard can be prevented, how the chemical should be disposed, or how the chemical should be stored. Okay. And then the supplier identification. That's the name of the supplier, the address, and the telephone number of the manufacturer or supplier. They are all on the label. So I've listed about 5 things that are on the label. We have the product identifier. We have the product identifier, the signal word or the hazard statement, the precautionary statement, the supplier identification, that is the name of the supplier, the address or the telephone number of the manufacturer. And then we have the pictogram. So here, what is a pictogram?
It's a graph that uses pictures to interpret data.
That is a.
I said it's a graph. It's a graph that uses pictures in interpretation of data.
Okay. Any other?
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
They are pictorial representation of data using the symbols or diagram to represent data.
Okay. So we say a pictogram is a simple standardized graphic symbol that is used to communicate information quickly and clearly, especially about hazard without relying on words. So when we look at the chemistry lab like this, when we talk about pictogram, we say it's a symbol, a simple standardized graphic, okay, that is used to communicate information without relying on words. And it is very clear and simple. Like, so when you look at the symbols I have here, you see they are very simple. And then when you look at them, they can tell you something. It communicates some kind of information to you. Okay. So all the 6 that I've mentioned, they are the things that we can find on the label. So now, let's look at a label. So let's try to name this one. What is number 1? What does number 1 represent?
That's the name of the chemical.
Product identifier.
Okay, so that is the product identifier. Okay, so 2 will be what?
Signal word.
Signal word. Signal word. Okay. And then there.
Precautionary statement causes
There.
serious. Precautionary statement.
There will not be precautionary statement. Let's check again. There.
Hazard statement.
Hazard statement. Because it is telling you the chemical is highly flammable. Okay, and 4.
The 4 is precautionary statement.
So the 4 will be our precautionary statement. And 5 is going to be what?
Supplier identification.
Supplier information.
Supplier identity. And 6.
Pictogram.
Pictogram. Okay. So this is a clear example of a label. So we've identified all the parts that are listed on a label. So sometimes they can give you something like this, and then they will just give you arrows and ask you to label them. Okay. So sometimes when we have a small container, you see, we cannot put all those information on it. So we have a simple way in terms of priority that we can provide a label. When we have a small container, come on, these are some of the things that we can find on it. So still, we have the product identifier. So we have the signal web tool over there. We have the pictogram. We have the supplier identity tool over there. So sometimes we might not get the big label like this. Okay, these ones are mostly for big containers, but some small, when we are buying or purchasing from small containers, then we can get something like this. Please, any questions? Any question? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. So here are there are some examples. And then let's look at the signal word. So the signal words are displayed words on labeling to. So the signal word, the purpose of the signal word is to alert the label reader to a potential hazard. So the signal word will let you know the particular the potential hazard of the chemical, and it also indicates the relative severity of the hazard. It will let you know how severe is the hazard. Is it mild? Is it moderate? Is it extreme? And then there are 2 signal words used on labels in GHS. The globally harmonized system has 2 signal words. We have the danger, and then we have the warning. So what is the difference between danger and warning?
Danger and warning. Danger, they are giving, the danger is telling you how deadly the chemicals can be. And the warning is telling you how to make sure you don't use it wrongly or you equip yourself properly before handling it.
Okay, so we say the danger indicates a high severity than the warning.
Okay.
Okay, so under the previous system, signal words include danger, warning, hazardous, poisonous, dangerous. So when you see all these words, they are signal words. They are signal words. And then danger indicates a higher severity than warning. So warning is mostly mild or minimal than danger. When it is danger, it means it is very, very severe. Okay.
Yes.
Is there a question?
It may also mean it can also involve a loss of life.
Yes. Yes, it can also mean this. Okay, so let's look at the pictogram. So that the pictograms are symbols plus red diamond. Okay. They have red diamond borders that are intended to convey information about hazard of a chemical. So basically there are about 9 general pictograms. Within the 9, we have 4 health hazards. We have 4 health hazard pictograms, and then we have 5 physical hazard pictograms. Okay, so these are the 9 pictograms, the general 9 that we have. These are them labeled below, the image below. These are the 9 pictograms that we have. So these are the health hazards. Going forward, we'll talk about them. And then we have the physical hazard pictogram. So here are the 9. So in the description, we said it's a symbol plus a red diamond border. So you see there is a symbol and it has a red diamond border with a white background. So the first one, we have explosive, we have flammable, we have oxidizing, we have compressed gas, corrosive, toxic, harmful, health hazard, and then we have environmental hazard. Okay. Now, the border is a red on a white background. So it's clearly here a red border on a white background. Now, sometimes if the product is not for transport and we are using it just within the manufacturing country, sometimes it might be black, it might not be red, it can be black. Okay. Yes, so here if the product is for the domestic market only, then the border can be black. Each pictogram has an official name. The health hazard pictogram is colloquially known as what does it mean when we say colloquially?
Local.
Locally. So it can be locally called the Starman, the Exploding Tozo, or others. Okay. And then we say we have a priority rule. Rules for prioritizing pictograms to preserve space on the label. So sometimes we might not have space on the label. So we have a rule for give a rule for putting label pictograms on the label. So here are some. If skull and crossbones appear, exclamation marks will not appear. Okay. If corrosive appears, exclamation marks will not appear for skin or eye irritation. If health hazard appears for respiratory sensitization, exclamation marks will not appear for skin sensitization or skin or eye irritation. If a transport pictogram appears, the equivalent GHS pictogram will not appear. But most of the times there isn't any equivalent pictogram for transport pictogram. And then the GHS allows dangerous goods class labels on the labeling of containers. So there is always a space for dangerous goods, and also there are no equivalent to the exclamation mark and health hazard. So dangerous goods mostly do not have equivalent pictograms. And then possible issues with flammable chemicals. So 6 different flammable symbols become one. So sometimes there are flammable symbols that are likely, they look alike, about 6 of them, and they can become just one symbol. Okay. So these are the pictograms, the health hazard. So we have this. The first one is acute toxicity. Acute toxicity, which is severe. So the first symbol means severe, and then acute means a short-term effect. So that's why they are saying if you see this crossbone with the skull, you will not see this. In situations where we want to preserve space on the label, when you see this one, you will not see this. And the exclamation means acute toxicity. This one is less severe. So the skull is very, very severe, and the exclamation is less severe. And then we have the corrosive. This one means it is corrosive to the skin. Okay, and this one means, the second one means the chemical is carcinogenic. It can cause mutagenicity. It can, and we've talked about mutagenicity. So if you see a chemical with this symbol, it means it's carcinogenic, can cause cancer. It is capable of causing mutagenicity. And the physical hazard, we have explosive. It means it is self-reactive. And then we have flammable. Flammables are mostly organic peroxides. They are self-reactive. Okay. And we have oxidizers, and then compressed gases. So earlier I was telling you about the compressed gases. Sometimes you see them in yellow triangle, but most of the time they are in a diamond like this with a white background, a red diamond with a white background. And then these are the compressed gases. And we have a non-mandatory pictogram. That is the environmental hazard. So when it's something like this, it means aquatic toxicity. It can cause harm to aquatic animals. So we look at the safety data sheet. Let's look at the safety data sheet. A safety data sheet is a document that provides detailed information about a hazardous chemical. So the data sheet provides very detailed information. It has about 16 sections. So it is its identity. It provides information, the following information about the chemical. It provides information about its identity and the ingredients that are in. It provides its physical health and environmental hazards. It provides its workplace exposure standard. It also provides the safe handling and storage procedures, the first aid procedures. It provides information on how the chemical should be transported and other useful information. Sections of the safety data sheet are aimed at particular audience. So when you take the safety data sheet, each section has a particular information it is conveying and the particular audience it is sending that information to. Under the new globally harmonized system, material data sheets are now called safety data sheets. So at first, used to call them material safety data sheets, but they are now called the safety data sheet. And then all the safety data sheets will have 16 consistent sections. So a standard DHS safety data sheet will have 16 sections. Employers must ensure that safety data sheets are readily accessible to employees. So every employer must make the safety data sheet available for its available to its employees. So these are the information that are currently required on a material safety data sheet. So we have the identity used on the label. We have the physical and chemical characteristics. We have the physical hazard, the health hazard, the primary routes of entry, the exposure limit, the carcinogenic information, the safe handling, control measures, emergency and first aid procedures, date of preparation, chemical manufacturer's contact information. Okay, so now we are coming to look at the sections of the safety data sheet. So I'm giving you some time. Today we are not going for, there's no break, so we are using it to do this. Go online and then search for the 16 sections of the safety data sheet. And then when we come back, we discuss them. I'm giving you about 15 minutes for that. Is that okay?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, please, I didn't hear it well.
I said we should go online and then search for the 16 sections of the safety data sheet. I'm giving you about
Safety
20
data.
minutes. Material safety data sheet. Hello.
Hi, sir.
Can you hear me now?
You said the last word.
So the safety data sheet, I said it has 16 sections and we are about to discuss them, but I want you to go online, search for the safety data sheet, look at it section by section. So when we come back and we talk about it, I'm giving about 20 minutes for that. Hello.
Sir, please. Hello, sir.
Did we get that?
Sir, please. Safety data. The last word.
Safety data sheet.
Suit. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm giving about 15 to 20 minutes for that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So when we are back and then we discuss together.
Okay.
Okay.
Please, are you on break?
Yes, I've asked you to.
What? Have you
Yes.
finished it? Have you finished it?
That's
Have you
it.
finished it? Have you finished it? Have you? What? What?
Yes.
Mr. Day, how you working area? How you working area?
What's your work in FNC now?
Not the not the 16 sections of the you know, safety data
You
sheet.
didn't have it.
16 sections of
No,
the
just safety data sheets.
that's it.
No, no, John. Me line no call in the manzi.
Globally harmonized. They have 16 sections of the safety data sheet, so we should research on them. Nti abasansa aba back na ya discuss.
Okay.
Nti ya word.
Oh. A standard safety data sheet. Continuous authentication. Safety. Safety data sheet. Typical consensus. Standard safety data sheets.
Hey, please mute your listener.
Yeah, hello. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Can we continue?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's look at the section 1. From your research online, what did you see about the section 1?
It's about the identification of the identification.
Identification of
That's the product identifier, the recommended use, supply details, and emergency contact.
Okay. What about the section 2?
Hazard identification.
Hazard identification. Okay. Section 3.
Composition
Information on ingredients.
Composition or information.
Okay. Composition or information on ingredients. Section 4.
First aid. First aid measures.
Okay, section 5.
Firefighting measures.
And 6.
Accidental release measures.
8.
7.
6. Okay, 7, yeah.
Handling and storage.
And then 8.
Exposure control, personal protection.
Okay, 9.
Physical and chemical properties. Exposure controls and personal protection.
And then 10.
Stability and reactivity.
11.
Toxicological information.
12.
Ecological information.
13.
Disposal consideration.
14.
Transport information.
15.
Regulatory
information.
Okay, and then 16.
Other
information.
Okay, so let's look at what I have here. So when you look at the section 1, section 1 has the substance and supplier identification. So it identifies the chemical on the safety data sheet as well as recommended uses. So it gives the name of the supply, the chemical, and then it also gives the uses of it. It also provides the essential contact information of the supplier. That is the product identifier used on the label and other common names or synonyms by which the substance is known. So after giving you the name of the chemical, it also gives other synonyms that the chemical is known as. It also gives the name, address, phone number of the manufacturer or the importer or other responsible party. And then it gives the emergency phone number as well. And then section 2 is the hazard identification. This part identifies the hazards of the chemical presented on the safety data sheet. So the hazards that are associated with the chemical, it is this part of the safety data sheet that those hazards are identified and the appropriate warning information that are associated with those hazards. Okay. It also gives the hazard classification of chemicals. And then the section 2 also continues to talk about the hazard, the signal word. and then it gives the hazard statement, the pictogram, the precautionary statement, and then description of any hazard not otherwise classified. So the section 2 is all about the hazard, the signal words, the precaution statements, the hazard statements, and then the pictogram. They are all found in the section 2. And in the section 3, we have the composition or the ingredients. It identifies the ingredients contained in the product, the chemical that we are using, what is it made for? Okay, and then the content, how the percentage of the ingredients, they are all indicated at the section 3. The section includes information on substances, mixtures, and all chemicals where a trade secret is claimed, chemical name, and then the common name and synonyms. Okay. And here, for mixtures, the chemical name and concentration, exact percentage. So like I was saying, when you have a mixture, they give you, when the substance is a mixture, they give you the chemical names of each chemical that is in, the concentration of each chemical that is making the mixture. That's the exact percentage of ingredients that are available in that particular mixture. And it also gives the chemical abstract service number and other unique identifications. Section 4 is about first aid, how to provide emergency care when there is an accident. So here it describes the initial care that should be given by untrained responders to an individual who has been exposed to the chemical. So should in case someone has been exposed to the chemical, what is the initial care that we can give to the person? The necessary first aid instruments by relevant use to exposure. So the section 4 gives us how we can give immediate care before rushing the person to the hospital. And then it describes the most important symbols, symptoms, or effects, and any symptoms that are acute or delayed. So it also gives the symptoms of if someone gets into contact, what the person is likely to show, and then even what the person will show in long term. And then it provides recommendation for immediate medical care and special treatment needed if necessary. So the section 4 also talks about immediate care. In the case of exposure, what should we do in the initial stages? And we look at firefighting measures. Provides recommendations for fighting a fire caused by the chemical. So this part, the safety data sheet gives recommendation on how to fight fires that are caused by those chemicals. So if we purchase a chemical and the chemical causes fire, on the safety data sheet, you look for section 5 and we'll find measures of controlling such fires. And also advice on specific hazard that develop from the chemical during fire. So when the chemical causes fire outbreak, the specific hazards that can come from it, they are all identified at the section 5 of the safety data sheet. And it also provides recommendations. Okay, so section 6 is accidental release measures. Provides recommendation on the appropriate response to spill. When the chemical flashes, when it spills, when it leaks, when it is being released, what do we do? It includes the clean up practices so that we can prevent or minimize exposure to people. So this part of the safety data sheet also gives us the how to go about about it when there is a spill or a splash or even a leak of the chemical. So it shows the use of personal precautions and protective equipment, and also the emergency procedures and appropriate protective clothing. It gives us the methods and materials used for containment. And then, like I said earlier, the clean up procedures. They are all listed at this part of the safety data sheet. And when we come to section 7, we have the handling and storage. It provides guidance on the safe handling and practice and conditions for safe storage, how we can handle the chemical, how we can store it safely. So these are all provided at the section 7 of the safety data sheet. It gives precautions to handling, including recommendations for handling incompatible chemicals, minimizing the release of the chemical into the environment. So anything that has to do with handling and storage is being stated at the section 7 of the safety data sheet. And then 8 is exposure control and personal protection. This place indicates the exposure limit. So it gives engineering controls and personal protective measures that can be used to minimize workers' exposure. So here they tell you how some personal protective measures that can be put in place to minimize workers being exposed to these chemicals. And also appropriate engineering controls recommendations for personal protective measures to prevent illness or injury, and then any special requirements for personal protective clothing or respirators. Section 9, we have the physical and chemical properties. So here, they state the physical and chemical properties of the chemical. It identifies the physical and chemical properties associated with that substance or mixture, including but not limited to the appearance, the physical state, the color. And then section 9. So they look at the upper or lower flammability explosive limit. It tells the odor, the vapor pressure, the pH, the flash point. They are all stated at the section 9. Section 10 describes the reactivity hazard of the chemical. How reactive is the chemical? It describes the specific test data for the chemical. It indicates whether the chemical is stable or unstable under normal temperature while being stored or being handled. It lists all the conditions that should be avoided and all classes of incompatible materials with which the chemical could react to produce a hazardous situation. The section 11 identifies toxicological and health effects information or indicate that such data are not available. So information on the likely route to exposure, description of the delayed or immediate chronic effect. So it will give you descriptions on effects that will show immediately or even later, or something that may last a whole lifelong. It also gives the numerical measure of toxicity. The LD50 is stated at the section 11. And then it describes the symptoms, indicates whether the chemical is listed in the International Agency for Research on Cancer or not. Okay. So ecological information, environmental impact of chemicals. So here they will tell you whether the chemical has environmental effects. What does it cause to the environment? They will list them here. Whether there is a potential for the chemical to persist and degrade in the environment. The potential for substance to move from soil to the groundwater. They will state all those at the option 12, the section 12. And then section 13, we have the disposal consideration. It provides guidance on proper disposal practices, recycling or reclamation of the chemicals or its containers. It gives description of appropriate disposal of the container and use. And it also gives recommendations of appropriate methods that we can use to dispose them. It also gives a special precaution for landfills or incineration activities. It gives the description of physical and chemical properties that may affect the disposal activity. So when it's not disposed well, the physical or chemical properties associated with it, it gives them all. Option, and then section 14, it provides information on transport information. Now, this side, it provides guidance on classification information for shipping, transporting of hazardous chemicals, either by road, air, rail, or sea. It gives guidance on how it should be transported. It also gives the UN number and then the UN proper shipping name. It states all of them at the transport information section. It also gives the transport hazard class, the parking group number, and any special precautions which an employee should be aware of or need to comply with in connection with transporting or conveying either within or outside the premises. And then the 15, regulatory information. It identifies the safety, health, and environmental regulations specific for the product that is indicated anywhere else on the SB standard data, safety data sheet. It also gives information of any national or regional regulatory information of the chemical or mixture. So, for instance, if the chemical is manufactured in Ghana, you see the Environmental Protection Agency information being at the section 15. And section 16 indicates when the safety data sheet was prepared or when the last known revision was made. And then it also gives the safety data sheet may state when the changes have been made to the previous version. And any other information that is relevant will still be communicated here. Please, any question at this point?
No, sir.
Any question? Hello?
Hi.
No, sir.
Okay, so let's continue. So we are looking at personal protective equipment, as we call the PPE. So these are some of the safety equipment that we have. safety equipment, we have the eye protection or safety glasses. We have chemical resistant gloves. We have the lab coats. We have the footwear. We have the film hood. We have emergency shower. We have eye wash station, the fire extinguisher, and then we have the first aid kit. So you can see these are some of them. For eye protection, we have the goggles, we have hand protection, we have the gloves. Okay. So when we say personal protective equipment, they are specialized clothing or equipment that are worn by employees for protection against health and safety hazards. So any specialized clothes that we put on to protect ourselves at our workplace from hazard is what we call a safety, is what we call the personal protective equipment. It is designed to protect many parts of the body. That is, we have protection for the eyes, we have protection for the head, the face, the hands, the feet, and the ears. Depending on where you are working, the one that you would need. And then the hazards addressed by protective equipment include the physical hazard, the electrical hazard, the heat, the chemical, the biohazard, and airborne hazard. All these hazards are hazards that are protected, that the personal protective equipment protect us from. Now, the purpose of personal protective equipment is to reduce employee exposure to hazards when engineering and administrative controls are not feasible enough. So when administrative controls are not effective enough, then we introduce personal protective equipment to come in to protect our employees. Now, these are some of them. So personal protective equipment include, so when you look at the image I have here, this particular individual has protection anywhere, the head, the nose, the eye, the feet, the arms, the body, and everything. So we say personal protective equipment should be worn at all times when working with hazardous substances. Now let's look at eye protection. We use appropriate safety glasses to avoid, we should avoid the use of lenses. So if you have an eye problem and you go to the lab, you still need a safety glass. Why do we need a safety glass even though we have lens?
Yeah, some of the glass contains chemical which are very reactive.
Okay, another.
So the design of the glass is also unique. The glasses.
You said?
It has a lot of protection. The design, how it's designed
Yes.
is unique.
The design.
So, yes. And then how it covers the face, and it has more covering than the normal glasses.
Okay. Any other?
The safety glass, it is designed purposely to protect the eyes as compared to the ordinary glasses we use.
Okay. So when you look at the lens, there are spaces at the top in case there's a chemical splash. Those chemicals can easily get to your eye. But when you look at this one, you see it is affixed to your face in a way that there wouldn't be a space through which a chemical can get to your eye. So even if you have a lens, you still have to wear this one on top of the lens because even some chemicals can even alter the magnification of those lenses. Okay, and then we have goggles for liquids, and safety glasses are explosion risk. Most of these safety glasses, they do not, when there is an explosion, they 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 protect our eyes from the chemical splash that will come. Okay, and then safety glasses should be worn at all times in the lab. Whenever you are at the lab, you should wear these safety glasses because you don't know when there will be an explosion. You don't know when there will be a splash. Maybe you are not the one working. Like the example the question we solved earlier. You see, the student wasn't the one working, but then when the explosion occurred, he suffered an eye injury. Let's say you had a safety glass on. This wouldn't have happened. So safety glasses should be worn at all times. And then we have the lab coat. The lab coat. The lab coat protects clothing. So we wear this lab coat on our clothes. So it protects our clothes, it protects our bodies, and then it should have a snap button. What's the snap button? What is a snap button? What is a snap button?
A button that can be unfastened easily.
Okay. So you see there is this shirt that when you just drag it from top, it just opens straight forward. Yes, so those are the buttons that are required for a lab coat. Why do we need such buttons for a lab coat?
For easy removal in case
For
of
easy removal in case of a splash or anything. And then you should not wash your lab coat with regular clothing. It should be washed separately because it mostly comes into contact with chemicals, and then washing them with our regular clothes would be another hazardous situation. Okay, let's look at the apron. Typically made from neoprene or nitrile rubber. So most of the time, the aprons are mostly made from rubbers. They are not from main cotton. So they are used when working with toxic chemicals that could be splashed onto and absorbed through the skin. So some chemicals, when they are splashed when they touch the lab coat, it can penetrate or it can be absorbed through the lab coat. But due to the material that the apron is made from, when there is a splash, it cannot enter to have contact with the skin. Okay, so we have the gloves. The type of gloves material use is dependent upon the chemical being handled. So depending on the chemical that you are handling, you should know the type of gloves that you are using. When using corrosive or toxic chemicals, the gloves should be long enough to cover the forearm. So your gloves should be long enough to cover your forearm so that there will not be the liquid, the chemical will not be able to travel straight to the outside of your body. Long gloves can be cuffed at the bottom to help prevent chemicals from running down the arm. So you see, these gloves have been carved so that the chemicals will not be able to run down the arm. And footwear. So for the images you are seeing, you see, we have some footwears that are in circles and have been cancelled. It means those words are not accepted at the lab. So it should be a closed-toed shoe or boot. So at the lab, we only wear closed-toe boots or shoes at the lab. Sandals or open-toed shoes must not be worn in the lab because when there is a splash, it easily goes to your feet and then it causes hazard. Shoe must cover the foot, like the ones I have on the screen. If you spill corrosive chemicals, they are most likely to get on your feet. And then storage of personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment should be stored in a manner that protects the equipment from dust, sunlight, excess moisture, and then extreme temperature. So we should store the personal protective equipment so that it will not get into contact with dust, excess sunlight, excess moisture, or extreme temperatures. Also, we should store it in such a way that it will not cause chemical degradation. It must be stored in a designated cabinet that satisfies these requirements. So we should have a cabinet where we store our personal protective equipment. Now, safety equipment. Working at the lab, you should know the location of the following safety equipment. You should know where the safety shower is, where the eye wash is, the fire blanket, the fire extinguishers, the fire exit, the fume hood, and then where the first aid kit is. Even if you are not a lab technician, once you are using the lab, you should know where all these things are. And then we are looking at combustible and flammable materials. So when we say combustible and flammable materials, they are any substance that can burn. So any substance that can burn is called a combustible material. It includes paper towels, stacks of journals and notebooks, as well as chemicals that are stored. So we have, so most of the time, laboratory fire lies with flammable materials. So these flammable materials are those that mostly cause laboratory fire. Flammable chemical substance is a solid, liquid, or vapor, or even a gas that ignites easily and burns rapidly in air. So many of the flammable chemicals used in the laboratories are flammable liquids and organic solvents. We have vapor of substances. We have Vapor of substances forms ignitable mixture and air. Common flammables include common chemicals that can easily cause burn, that can ignite are acetone, benzene, ethanol, ethyl acetate, ethyl ether, gasoline, hexane, methanol, and xylene. Please, any question? Any question? Hello? Hello?
Hi. Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. So, yeah. Yes, Arthur.
Temperature at which substance can catch fire?
Okay. So that is the flash point. I think it's even here. The flash point is the minimum temperature where a spark or a flame will cause an instantaneous flash in the vapor space above a liquid, or is the lowest temperature at which a flammable liquid gives off sufficient vapor to ignite. So we say flash point is the lowest temperature at which a substance can burn, the boiling point. So take note, we are saying that flammable chemical substances are classified according to one, their flash point, two, their boiling point. And we say the boiling point is the temperature at which the vapor pressure of a liquid is equal to the atmospheric pressure under which the liquid is vaporized. Okay. And then three, ignition temperature. The lowest temperature at which a chemical substance will ignite and burn independently of its heat source. Okay. So we have the upper explosive limit and then the lower explosive limit. The upper explosive limit is the maximum concentration of the vapor in air above which a flame is not propagated. And then the minimum is the minimum concentration of the fuel in air at which a flame is propagated when an ignition source is present. So we say flammable range is equal to upper ignition limit minus lower ignition limit. Okay. So when we say a flammable liquid, a liquid that has a flash point below 37.8 degrees. So it means a liquid that has a flash point below 37 degrees. It's a flammable liquid. And then a flammable gas is a compressed gas that satisfies the criteria for flame projection, lower flammability limit, and flammability range. Flammable solid is a non-explosive material that is capable of producing fire as a result of friction. Heat retained from production or which, if ignited, produces a serious hazard. Combustible liquid any liquid that has a flash point at or above 37 degrees Celsius. So we have classes of flammable materials. So the class A's are flammable liquids, and they have a flash point less than 22.8 degrees. So any substance that has a flash point less than 22.8 degrees and a boiling point less than 37.8 is called a class A substance or a flammable liquid. And then class B is substances or flammable liquids that has flash point less than 22.8 and a boiling point less than or equal to 37 degrees Celsius. We have some of the examples over there. And we have class C, a flammable liquid with boiling point greater than or equal to 22 degrees Celsius and a boiling point greater than 37.8 degrees. For class II, we have combustible liquid. And then we have class IIA, combustible liquid, also having their ranges, and class IIIV. Now, students and workers in the lab should always remember these three things. Danger. A, danger. Danger denotes the highest degree of chemical hazard. Danger denotes the highest degree of chemical hazard. It includes chemical substances of class A and B. So when we say danger, it denotes the highest degree of chemical hazard, and it includes substances of classes A, 1A, and then 1B. And we have warning, which is B. The warning denotes the intermediate degree of chemical hazard. So earlier we said warning, danger, it means a serious hazard, and danger is serious than warning. So we are saying danger. Please, are you there?
Yeah, you were saying the danger. You said that it is more severe.
Yes, so we say danger is more severe than warning.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and then warning mostly includes chemical substances of class 1C. And then we have caution. The caution denotes the lowest degree of chemical hazard. So it ranges from caution, then we go to warning, and then we go to danger. So caution will be given to chemicals that are class II. And the conditions that lower the flash point of a substance is when there is a situation that produces a mist. When we say a mist, when we spray a mist means like when you spray a substance and it's in the air. Okay, so a situation that produces a mist that makes the substance look like it's in the air. So in that case, it decreases the pressure. The surface of the substance becomes light. Okay. And then environments which are oxygen rich. Let's look at precautionary measures to take when handling flammable liquids. So you have to strictly observe the properties of chemicals during use, storage, transportation, and waste disposal. So you have to look at the properties of the chemicals. Take a very good at it before using, even when you are using it, when you are storing it, transporting it, or even disposing the waste of that particular substance. And you have to avoid negligence and no proper use of flammables. You should not take anything for granted. Do not neglect anything. Avoid all conditions for a fire to occur in the lab. Anything that will cause fire to occur in the lab, you should avoid it. Keep fire extinguishers in easily approachable work area. So the fire extinguisher should be closed. So in case of anything, quickly then you grab it. So let's look at what a fire is. So we say fire is the process of very rapid oxidation at high temperature, which releases hot gases, light, greater amount of heat, and other forms of radiation energy. So fire is a process of rapid oxidation. Rapid oxidation occurs fast. And then scientifically, fire as an oxidation reaction works in this way. A fuel, which is the reducing agent, and an oxygen, which is an oxidizing agent, are present. So now there is a heat which is added. The heat can be the spark or the flame. And then the fuel and oxygen molecules gain energy and become active. So they gain energy from the heat or the spark and they become active. And this molecular energy is transferred to other fuels and oxygen molecules, which creates a chain. So the reaction occurs again. So it becomes a chain reaction. So it occurs and then the burning goes on. And please, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now, so the oxidation occurs when the fuel loses electrons and the oxygen gains electrons. The electrons transfer emit heat, which excites still more molecules in the fuel, continuing the oxidation reaction, which makes the fire keep burning. Now let's look at the fire triangle. So looking at this, is it really a fire triangle? Is it a fire triangle? We have heat, oxygen, fuel. But there is another thing, which is a chemical reaction. So in this case, we have fire requires 4 elements in order to start and continue to burn. These basic elements of fire are called the fire tetrahedron. So instead of a triangle, there is a tetrahedron rather. So in this tetrahedron, we have the heat, the fuel, the oxygen, and free radicals, or self-sustaining chemical reactions. So these 4 things must be present or is required for burning to occur. Now, if we remove any of these 4 elements, the fire tetrahedron will not start. There would be no fire tetrahedron and there wouldn't be fire at all. If you take away the heat, the fire will not. What will be the spark? If you take the fuel, what will be the reducing agent? Okay. So to help illustrate these elements, we have this, the fire tetrahedron here. So the fuel, to start and maintain a fire, you need the right kind of fuel. While burning, the energy stored in the fuel combusts and releases heat, light, and other forms of radiation energy. So removing the fuel breaks the fire tetrahedron model and fire will stop. So if there is no more fuel, then the fire will start and the tetrahedron will not fall. Also, we have heat. To initially start a fire, it is necessary to apply heat to the fuel in the form of a flame or a spark. So the heat starts the fire. So the heat comes in the form of a flame or a spark. The heat rises the fuel to its ignition temperature, and then continued heat is needed to keep the fuel at its ignition temperature. Now, oxygen. Oxygen is an invisible gas in the air that fire consumes as part of the burning process. The oxygen sustains the fire and used up oxygen must be replaced. Fire will go out if oxygen is so basically each part of the fire the tetrahedron is needed to continue the fire process. And you see a burning fire is now we have the sustaining chemical reaction or free radical. A burning fire is actually a chemical reaction that consumes fuel and oxygen to produce heat and light as byproducts. So a burning fire is a chemical reaction and it consumes fuel and oxygen and then it produces fire and produces light and heat as a byproduct. Okay. So we have the chemical classification of fire classification. So A, we say class A is fire that are fueled by materials that when they burn, they leave residue. So any fire that is fueled by materials that burn and leave residue are called class A fires. And then for class B fires, they involve flammable liquids and gases such as gasoline. And then class C fires are fires that involve energized electrical wiring. So any fire outbreak that have to do with wiring, electrical issues is a class C fire. And then class B fires involve exotic metals such as magnesium, sodium, aluminium. Any fire that comes because of these metals are class D fires. Now, let's look at the fire extinguisher. There's a shortcut for using the fire extinguisher, which is the path. So you always have to remember this path. So the P stands for pull the locking pin, and the A stands for aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. And then X, you squeeze the trigger. You squeeze the trigger all the way close. So you squeeze the trigger all the way close. You squeeze it very well. And then you sweep the extinguisher discharge side to side over the area of the fire. So always you have to remember this step. Just have you keep this task in head and then you add the remaining. Please, any question? Any question? Any question?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's continue. So this is it. The steps to use the fire extinguisher. So let's look at the fire extinguisher. So we have water. Water is a fire extinguisher. It is used to off fire, but it is only for class A fires. So when you go, you take a look at the classes of the fires. Water can only off class A fires. And we have carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is an extinguisher that offs class A, B, C fires only. It's off class A, B, C fires only. Now, we have carbon tetrachloride. Carbon tetrachloride also of class A, B, C, but it is no longer in use because the carbon tetrachloride is carcinogenic. It's a cancer positive chemical, so it is no longer in use. And then we have the halogenated hydrocarbons. They also of class A, B, C. Now, we look at the dry chemical extinguishers. The dry chemical extinguishers also of class A, B, C fires. So these are some of the dry chemical fire extinguishers. We have the granular sodium chloride. We have the graphite. This is the graphite usually for class D fires. This graphite is usually used for class D. We have sodium bicarbonate, potassium bicarbonate. They are all dry chemical extinguishers. Okay. We have the ABC ammonium hydrogen phosphate. And then let's look at the principles of fire extinguishers. So it says fuel must pyrolyze into free radicals. So here we say the fuel must decompose into free radicals before combustion will occur. Now, halon extinguishers are broken into free radicals which combine with and eliminate the free radicals. So when this fuel decompose to free radicals before they burn, the halon extinguishers will also decompose to free radicals so that they can be able to eliminate the fire. And then carbon dioxide, CO2 fire extinguishers are most effective in laboratory situations when used properly. So fire sprinklers are not intended to extinguish fire. Their purpose is to lay down a fog and suppress the smoke so that people can escape from a burning fire. Okay. So we will end here. We will end here. And then we'll continue
Okay, sir.
tomorrow, God willing. Hey, next week, God willing. Sorry.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Ernest. Yes, Ernest.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you very much for
You're welcome.
today's lectures. Please, sir, can we have some tutorial questions to test our knowledge on what you've taught us so that?
Yes, I'll do that. I'll do that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. I'll do
Hello,
that.
sir.
Yes.
Please, when should I expect the slide so that I can go and print it?
So you can give me a test and then I'll forward it to you.
Yeah, please, I don't have your contact.
Oh, I think someone has my contact. You should just put it in your phone.
Okay,
And
sir.
so Emmanuel has it.
Okay, sir.
Can
Thank
I give you
you.
hello right now? Sorry. Before I can give it to the class.
Hello.
Hello,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Can I give you
I
hello
thought
right now?
someone
Before
was.
Is that can you give?
I should give you. I can give you hello right now. So that after the class you can give me
Yes, yes, yes. You can
slide.
give me a hello right now.
And the assignment too.
Is immediate hello.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can do that. Immediate hello is okay.
Okay.
Yes. So if there is nothing, then we can end here and then continue next week.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so
Okay.
God will next week.
Okay, sure. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.
Boss, please, when you get us, like, kindly put it on the page
All
for
right,
us.
sir.
I'll do that. I'll put it on the page.
Okay, thank you.